episode, what are we, 6 now, I think. Episode 6 of the Bickering Podcast. I'm Adam Chapman, the host, and my co-host, the international jet setter, Chase Miller.
Hello.
Yeah? You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, cracking. We have a guest this week. We have Matthew Edge, freelance filmmaker and a creative of the Liverpool scene. Introduce yourself.
Hi guys, how's it going? Yeah, I'm Matthew Edge. I'm Matthew Edge and I'm a creative filmmaker. So I create anything you can imagine in terms of video, animation, photos, websites.
It's the creative endeavour that we all are striving towards at the moment. So I met Matt in November when we were both doing the Movember charity raising. I don't know, is it a challenge, would you say?
I would say it was a challenge, yeah.
I'd say it was a challenge, but I enjoyed it a bit too much, you know.
I think you got lost slightly in it with regards to the attention you got with the moustache.
Yeah. I know. I think it's always, like, that was my second year doing it, and I always think it's something that every man should do at least once. Grow a moustache, see how it is. Like, the only thing that gets me about, my dad had a moustache for about 30 years, and so when I grow mine in, I'd look so much like him, like my memory of him from growing up, and it's kind of like concerning because you know that old like adage of you slowly turn into your parents the older you get. You know, it's a slightly worrying thought, but yeah, I don't know, it's pretty good.
I essentially think that, as you say, like it should be like imperative that everyone does it as a man. It arguably becomes like makes you become a man because obviously. You are getting this sort of like stigma, or well, you look a bit shifty, you've got a muzzy. Do you know what I mean? And the sort of social pressures of it. So like it probably like makes you more of a round person.
Yeah. That's the thing. I quite like. For me personally, my first year doing it, I was still in Essex. I'd just come back from Dubai. I wasn't really feeling great at myself. Didn't really see much of a future, whatever. And then did Movember, sort of got a bit more confident in myself just because I could sort of take a few of the hits that came with, you know, having a moustache and whatever. Got less, I got less self-conscious, like the more the month went along. By the end of the month, I'd moved to Liverpool. like genuinely.
Moved on, new life.
Yeah, it really was. As you said, it made me sort of grow up and sort of be like, no, I can do this, you know. And all of that just through being told you look a bit like, I don't know, Mexican drug cartel or like serial killer from the 70s,
it's
you know. Like,
it is so true.
Yeah, that was a good laugh that night. Did really enjoy that. The first Movember meetup. I'd sort of jumped the gun a bit, and I was about a week and a half into my moustache. Whereas everyone was like fresh shaved at the start of the month. So I was
get a head start.
Yeah, like I thought I was going to go there.
The longest moustache
in
the room.
I know. I thought I was going to go there, and it'd be like a sort of triumphant gallery to facial hair. But no, I jumped the gun. I was too early. I didn't realise you were supposed to shave at the start of the month and then grow for the month. So I was just like, shaved the rest of the beard off, had sort of a pre-moustache. I cheated.
You have to just have a mustache?
Yeah, for the month.
Okay.
Yeah, you can choose whatever moustache. I mean, you don't really get many Hitlers going on.
I assume.
Yeah, because I think that would take away. But obviously, the message then is, you raise money through donations and whatever, and it's to help with sort of male-centric problems. There's the two sort of male cancers, like prostate, testicular. So a lot of money goes towards that research. And then the one that I sort of focused my campaign on was more to do with the mental health side. Mm-hmm. So again, the sort of stigma that men shouldn't be able to talk about, you know, difficulties or problems or anything like that. You know, they have to be men, pull their bootstraps up and just get on with it, you know.
Push down all the emotion.
Exactly, yeah. So it's sort of, you know, for me it's quite an important topic. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had a lot of friends who've gone through similar things. I myself have gone through that, and it's sort of, it seemed like a cause that I could really get behind, which I quite like. Which actually brings me on to Muzzy on You, lad.
Yeah,
the project of our guest tonight.
Yeah, so basically, I came up with this idea, Muzzy on You, lad, with the abbreviation that Scousers call a moustache, Muzzy.
Yeah.
And when I first done Movember in the first year or two, people were saying, "Oh, look at the Muzzy on you."
Yeah.
Oh, that Muzzy looks terrible or whatever. And I was just taking the hits as you were.
Yeah.
And you become sort of like resilient, you know, to all these sort of like judgments or whatever. And with regards to Muzzy on You Lad, it's sort of like grown. So basically, I established it a number of years ago in terms of the idea, the name, and sort of the notion. But then, as you'll find probably with the podcast and the whole Bickering press that you do yourself, that it's like a snowball effect, but also it initially starts with you and the idea, but then you need great minds to either join you or push you or basically give you some sort of stigma and sort of like stimulant, if you like, not stigma, stimulant, to basically make you grow. So like I've created a website, like I've had people come on the team on a yearly basis when we raise the funds for Movember, but it's not really been consistent as such. So basically you get people like joining for 1 year, then the next year they're like, oh, I'm not doing Movember again.
Yeah.
So the idea behind Muzzy on You Lad was to do it as a yearly rolling thing. So throughout the year we can like raise funds throughout the whole year rather than just in November even, because arguably it's a hard time for people to donate with Christmas around the corner.
Yeah, of course. Like that's the thing. My phone now automatically does Movember when I type November, so it shows how much I was going on about it during that month. It's like it's taken months still to try and get it coming back. So it's like
it's crazy. Like in the calendar, I just call it like Movember now instead of November. Really. Like.
But no, I totally agree. Obviously, like by the end of a month, a lot of people, that's when they will donate. It's like the end of the month if you actually got through it, like instead of giving someone a tenner at the start of the month and then being like, oh no, you didn't keep it up. And it was like I get that, I get the sponsorship, the challenge, but also it's kind of like the whole premise of it is to just bring awareness to the actual company itself. So but as you said, like end of November, if people are donating, then suddenly it's instantly Christmas shopping, and it's like it's really stressful time. Really, just everyone's. God,
it is a struggle.
Liverpool last year at Christmas was just, that was stressful. Like you just saw people like breaking down in L1, like sat outside HMV in tears, and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, I feel as if it is a struggle. That's why, like with Muzzy on You Lad, I would like to open the floor and have people donate throughout the year. Yeah. Also, creatives to come along and raise awareness and with their arts and their talents and stuff like that, rather than just like, oh, let's just grow a mustache.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of ways in which you can talk about important problems or important issues like men's health, men just being open and talking about their emotions, the way that we're all brought up to sort of like be these strong men and never cry or whatever, but we're ultimately human, and we are very like women, if you like, in terms of emotions. We just don't show it because we're raised not to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as I was saying earlier, the classic expectation is just get on with it. It's like a lot of the older generation of men especially would be like, oh, well, back when we were young, we didn't have all the things that you have, and, we just got along with it. And it was like, well, I don't think a lot of you did in the big scheme of things, like it's... Yeah, I mean, one thing that got me in November, though, was like when I was walking around with a moustache, you would get guys sort of make a comment about it. And I remember I was in the Grapes one night. Well, I was outside having a cigarette. This guy sort of started talking to me about the moustache, started off with all the sort of jibing. And then I sort of went, oh yeah, I'm doing it for Movember, and sort of told him what the thing was. And then and then this sounds like a cliche, but no, then he actually did like open up and just say, yeah, man, I've been going through some tough stuff recently. Like his brother had died like a month before and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, and then he was like, yeah, I haven't been able to tell anyone how I've been feeling.
Yeah, it's almost like once they know what it's for, it's like a open platform. Welcoming platform.
Yeah, exactly. You use something quite fun and quite,
it's like an icebreaker, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, completely icebreaker. Yeah, which I quite like the point you brought up there, saying about like with Muzzy on You Lad, the creatives sort of coming together to try and raise awareness. Either I know at Bickering Press we did quite a lot of articles about Movember each time, sort of getting a hint of it coming in, and then actually talking about the more sort of realistic, like stats, figures, numbers about everything going on. And then I think as well. Like you were talking about this documentary you're doing that's coming up.
Yeah, so as a filmmaker, and in terms of the Muzzy on You Lad push, like as I said, like I've got the website and stuff, but I haven't ultimately launched it as such. I haven't got it as a rolling day-to-day thing or a weekly program. So other than that, like I am making films. I'm working on a documentary at the minute called Fighting Demons, and it's about conquering adversity with the use of sport as a vehicle. So again, it talks about like this stigma that men have in terms of not dealing with their emotions and how they feel, and what is your escape. Like everyone has some sort of escape, whether it's like reading a book, drawing, being artistic, being creative like ourselves maybe, just listening to music, going out for a run, using the gym, you know, like everyone has an escapism from reality and also the troubles. So basically this documentary investigates child trauma and the way that like nature and nurture, are you brought up in a certain way that makes you a certain person, arguably, or is it your environment and your choices, essentially? So it investigates that. It's quite complex, but it also looks at the common trends in society, how people are in general, again, like how men don't speak. Like I spoke to like psychologists and sociologists and people associated to this, the subject, and the views and stuff were really, really interesting, but also anyone who will watch the documentary will also reflect on their own life. So
Yeah. Sort of pick up on what their escapism is and everything like that. Like, I mean, as you were saying, escapism through something like sport or, you know, going to a gym, reading a book or something, they seem as like acceptable escapisms, but they're still doing the exact same thing that someone who drinks heavily or does drugs or something does. It's getting away from sort of the confrontation of it. I mean, obviously they are seen as a lot more healthier because they are, but you know, it's you still, I think it's important to be able to like tackle the main like underlying issue there. I mean, is there any sport in particular that
so basically, to cut a story short, the film's sort of been ongoing. The main subject is actually my brother.
Yeah.
So the sport that he uses as an escapism is boxing and sort of like the fighting disciplines.
Yeah.
But it looks at, as you said, then like the demons that people may have with like drugs and alcohol abuse. It investigates this because myself and my brother, we've got different mothers.
Right.
And his mum was an alcoholic.
Okay.
So basically, it looks into how that shaped him as a person and where his anger sort of like stemmed from, and also how he found his refuge in sport and how that was a coping mechanism for these sort of like situations that he was in as a child. So it's quite deep and it's complex because also it's so close to home because it's my sibling, like it's my brother, but obviously I would like to portray that his message and his story in not a biased way, but but basically in a true way, in a true reflection, because I wasn't there when he was a child. I didn't see.
Is he older?
Yeah, he's older. He's like 10 years older than me, so I wasn't there. I didn't see anything. I was always sheltered from this, and with doing the documentary and the discovery, when I was interviewing him and asking him questions and sort of like finding out his story, essentially I've been sheltered from this my whole life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's one of them. It's like why should I know that?
Yeah.
I was a kid at the time, you know, so why should I be subject to whatever happened to him? Do you know what I mean? There's a 10-year gap. So yeah, I'm at stage now where one of my friends from the BBC is working on it at the minute.
Oh really? Wow.
So he's like helping me cut it. People have like helped and been like great in terms of certain areas, whether it was breaking down parts of the interviews with me. Certain people were like excellent in terms of like helping me storyboard, because essentially it started from like his last fight. He was fighting for this title that he should have been fighting 15 years ago.
Oh, really?
15 years prior to the actual fight.
Yeah.
And he chose the route of like drugs and basically partying, and sort of like, you know, you can go to a pub and there will always be someone in there that could have been someone, like, and they're just drowning their sorrows with drink and whatever. And anyone you come across in life, there's always someone that didn't make it for whatever reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was watching this documentary a couple of weeks ago, which was talking about it was a basketball documentary, and it was talking about all the college athletes who don't make it in the NBA. Yeah, like a huge bit, like 90% of them or something, will never make it in the NBA. And it was just sort of talking about, well, where do they go after that? You know, they sort of banked on this and they've made their sacrifice and stuff. And it was talking about so many of them going through like these, getting into, you know, drugs, alcohol, just. Again, as you said, it could have been something they had themselves set up and they just weren't able to do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's incredibly hard to deal with, you know. When they, like, I've had it before where you're in a pub and some old guy was sort of talking about like how he could have been the next whatever, and everyone's like, oh yeah, sure you were. And it's like, you know, maybe you could have been, you know.
It's totally true. Like, basically, if you've got a talent and you don't share it with the world, no one will ever see it. No one will ever know what you can do or what you can become. You will never become that person, you know. But it's also very true that like if you like sheltered and you kind of don't explore things, then you will just like, you never find your passion, you know. You'll never find your purpose. And a lot of people don't reflect on that. I feel like you probably come to an age at 25 or whatever, you reflect on like, who am I as a person? What's my purpose? What is it I'm going to do in life? How am I going to either better other people's lives? Am I going to leave a legacy? Am I going to do anything?
Yeah. I think that's one thing that I've sort of been struggling with the last, I'd say, couple of years. Was, you know, I came out of university, I had a degree in history, and I was like, what am I going to do? Like, you know. It's not exactly, I haven't been trained for any specific type of job. And, you know, it was in the little gap after uni where I was sort of start getting a bit more into like online media and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, like, I remember thinking for ages, like, no, I can't do that. You know, these people just, they've been trained better, or they've, you know, had experiences which made them more inclined to do it. And I was like, no, actually, what is stopping me? You know, like, is it going to be, am I just going to sit there and be like, oh, I couldn't have done it because of whatever, but then, or am I going to go, well, I'm 22, I still have a lot of time, let's actually give it a go, let's work on it, you know? And it was like, so from there I ended up flying out to see my dad in Dubai, and then sort of bumped into this guy, got an internship out there, and was sort of working for this magazine out there, and then was like, no, this is it, this is what I want to do. I didn't like Dubai in the end. I left after about like 8 or 9 months, but I felt like it was necessary, you know. Otherwise, I would have just been sat still in England, still just debating like, oh, is there anything I want to do? Is there not? Is there, you know? And it's sort of since then that's kind of been, you know, my driving force. Like, you think I'm not supporting myself fully on the Bickering Press, but I'm pushing to get it to that stage, and it's something that I do pretty much daily to, you know, to get it to a certain level. And it, for me, I think that's been something great because it's given me that direction, something to work towards. As you said, like some sort of legacy. I like to think that people who
purpose,
I like to think the people who are reading the articles or listening to podcasts having a good time with it. You know, it's I guess improving their lives a little bit. You know,
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, if you can improve one person's life just by the smallest of things, whether it's a story, a message, someone listening, as you say. Just making them realise certain things in life that they've never questioned.
Or just making their lives more interesting.
Exactly,
Yeah, I mean,
like even finding themselves through that, you know, just by listening and just experimenting. Because as you say, like, you've got a degree in history, I've got a degree in sports development and physical education. Like, I did want to become a teacher at one point.
Yeah.
But then, basically, I feel as if the curriculum is driven on maths, English and science rather than core values.
Yeah.
Shaping people, making people become good people. Do you know what I mean? You don't learn how to like treat a woman. You don't learn how to like, unless you've had good parenting. But also, away from that, like, it's arguable that like we lose our creativity in secondary school if you don't choose art, because in primary school you were always left to draw, paint, express yourselves.
Yeah.
If you don't continue that, you've lost it, and you're just concentrating on maths, English, and science.
Which I think as well, there's that classic, was it Einstein who said if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will forever think it's stupid. And I totally agree. I think in school some people aren't great at, you know, with language, with maths, or, you know, but then they will excel in something else. And I think it's sad that
it's like people skills. People need people skills,
yeah.
And we're not teaching people skills.
Well,
in a society that's like now driven by social media, and it seems like everyone is becoming socially anxious.
Yeah.
No one can speak to one another. Everyone's like this with the screen, and it's like, just if you like the look of someone, just like if you match them on Tinder or whatever, go for a coffee, go for a drink. Do you know what I mean? People can't even get over that hurdle first. They need to explore your Instagram page.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean, or whatever, and like see what you're about. It's kind of like,
it's bizarre, isn't it?
it is bizarre, like massively.
Yeah, like I think it's kind of funny that like people won't go and approach someone in a pub, you know. Yeah, online they will just completely talk to this person who they don't know is real.
They will,
you know,
stalk them online.
It's a scary scenario.
Yeah, but it's just I find that so bizarre that like we will happily talk to someone through a screen who we've never met, tell them about our day, tell them about, you know, what we do. Yeah, the same person can be standing in like at the end of a bar and you won't talk to them. And it's like, what's this protection of this screen there? Like, as you said, everyone's just getting socially anxious, like quite dramatically. I mean,
it is. It's bizarre. Like me personally, like I'm a confident person. I don't have no problem approaching anyone, because in my line of work, directing and filmmaking, I have to approach a room of 50, 100 people and tell them what to do. Essentially, block like a routine and tell them how I want to bring out a character or how to portray a certain thing. I may never have met them people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Or I may have cast them, or I might have cast them through a screen, or they may have sent an audition piece. That's how essentially it works. And I feel like yourself, you've done bar work. It's exactly the same. Like people, if you've got that sort of like skill where you can speak to people like on a level where you don't know them. Like, you know, I don't mean like working in retail, like where you go, do you need any help? Do you need any assistance with your clothes? And you're like, oh no, like I've just walked in.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Like, if you need help, I'll go and seek help. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas, like, at a bar, obviously, you're advising them on drinks. Like, you're talking maybe about, they're asking you, oh, where's good to go? Like, that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's these core skills that people are losing. Like, I feel it's crazy.
I feel for Chase and I. Obviously, I moved about lots in my life. I was born in Singapore, then moved to Wales, moved to Suffolk, London, Dubai, Essex here. So I always had that sort of, well, if I don't go out and if I don't approach people, I'm not going to know anyone, you know. So I moved to Liverpool, and the only person I knew in the city was my sister. So I was like, I need to just go out and talk. And even if that means occasionally you meet some people who aren't interested in you, and, you know, they're not, and you're not interested in them, fair enough, it's a roll of the dice, you know. You just need... So, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nerve-wracking standing in the middle of heebie-jeebies by yourself, having to go up to tables and be like, you know, hi, I'm new here, do you mind if I, like, come and join? But then that's how I've made a big core of my friendship group here, you know, like, and I think, as you said, that often isn't taught in schools, you know. There's like a slight thing of like, oh yeah, in the playground, you sort of get that a little bit, but it's like, yeah, if there's a kid who's struggling with, you know, academics and whatever, then they can easily be ostracized by kids. Kids are very impressionable, and if they suddenly go like, oh no, he's like a truant, or he's not a good student, whatever, and it's like, no, he's just frustrated because he's not being allowed to, you know, express himself, project himself, excel in anything, and he's constantly being told every time he gets a bit of paper saying like F on it or something that he's, you know, that he's not good.
That's it.
So I think for young people, it's terrifying. Like,
most definitely, yeah. Like, essentially, like, we're constantly being labelled in life, like, whether it's through your grading process, whether it's through, like, oh, you're in this friendship group, so you're at GIMP, or you're popular. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's basically, you're constantly being segregated by society itself, and also, like, you're constantly being labelled, whether, like, we're talking about mental health. You go to your doctor, you talk to your doctor or whatever. I haven't personally, but I've got a lot of friends that have gone through mental health problems or whatever, and they say that they're depressed. They go to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Oh, well, there's a prescription and there's some medication that's going to make you better," but essentially it's not. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Again, it's masking. It's not hitting the underlying issues behind it. It's not confronting that. It's just take this so a chemical doesn't get released in your brain. And
it's also easy for the doctor too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
It makes his paycheck more like closer.
Yeah, for real. But I remember coming out of school. First thing I was like is like, I don't know how to budget. I don't know how to pay taxes. I don't know how to do anything in life. How do you fill up a car with petrol? How do you how do you apply for a credit card? How do you apply for a mortgage? None of that's taught, but I could pick out an angle of a triangle. I can't now because it's been years. But coming out of high school, I was coming out. 18. I could have done that easily.
Yeah, it's strange. When I was in school, I always thought taking, I guess we would call it home ec, or one of those classes, was just ridiculous. But after a few years out in the real world, you find that a lot of the main skills that you wish you would have had are balancing a checkbook.
Yeah.
And really mundane things like that would just make your life so much easier.
Yeah. I'm still useless at half of that stuff, and I'm 25. I've had my good number of years in the real world. But again, it was so last year when I was having all those issues with the flat I was living in, I didn't know anything about my laws as a citizen, as a tenant. I didn't know where to turn to. It's I had people just telling me loads of different things about, oh yeah, this will help, this will help, this will help. And I was like, I have no idea which one's, positive. It's all anecdotal of, oh yeah, my aunt's friend went through this company, or yeah. And I was a bit this is stuff that should be taught to people as they're growing up. At the age of 11, let them choose what they want to sort of focus on in school. Because I think at that point you sort of know if you're going to be sort of mathematically, excelling, or, excel with the English language or anything like that. I said I totally agree with that. I think school is a horrible place for quite a lot of kids. I wouldn't want to go through it again, I don't think.
See, here's the difference between your guys' schooling and ours. At least the way I see it so far.
So this is England and America then?
Yeah, so I find you guys choose sort of a path quite early on, right? It's at 14 you kind of decide.
We choose our GCSEs at that point.
Right.
So what's that, 7-8 topics?
And so if you're choosing a more creative path, something centered on the arts or something, you're gonna drop off a lot of science and math.
You still have to do your core subjects.
Yeah, you have to do your core subjects of English, math, science.
Right, but it gets whittled down more so than if you had gone on to.
Yeah, I mean A levels. I took drama, history, psychology, and that was what I took from A level. Then we had a thing called general studies, which is sort of just study the world, general studies.
But you would go to a specific school, right?
No, you do that. Some people go to college to do something, but I stuck with my same high school and did my sixth form, as they call it, A levels, sixth forms.
Yeah. So essentially, you have your core subjects, and then you choose a few more to sort of add more pressure and basically get more GCSEs. But then they're subjects that you either excel in. So whether it's sports, myself, I chose sports because I'm good at sports naturally. I was good at art, I chose art and whatever, and then you essentially finish your GCSEs, then you choose whether you want to go to college or whether you just want to get a job and employment. So people that are either pressured by the families to just go into work because home life is hard or whatever. They're not sort of they're not sort of pushed and sort of guided to
academically.
Go academically to say, oh well, you're really good at this, or you actually this is your passion, or what would you like to become if your parents aren't told you and guided. Essentially reflecting back on university, I'd done a sports degree because I'm naturally good at sports. I didn't know what I wanted to become. Whilst I was doing my degree, I volunteered in India, living in the desert for 3 months teaching. So I was teaching English, doing construction, plantation, And we also done women empowerment, a drama performance. I've never done drama in my life because I was kind of like one of these kids that was like, oh, drama's for gays. Like, I essentially was like one of these narrow-minded people at the time when I was younger, a bit of a scally sort of thing, and I had this judgment that like everyone who'd done drama in the school that I went anyway, like we're them type of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As society's grown and we grow as people, obviously, like I've got no problem with gays. Like I've got loads of gay friends, but at the time I was very closed-minded because I'm a 16-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid. Society's very different then.
Yeah, so I guess the nurture, the hard gets pushed quite a lot there, you know.
But then essentially I was volunteering in India. We'd done this drama performance where it brought two of the caste systems together.
Okay.
And in India, the caste system is where they're segregated in society. So like it's similar to here, like upper class, lower class. But in India, they have like the Brennans, which are like the poor of the poor. They get the crappiest jobs they don't associate with. What was that noise then?
I think
water.
It's something to do with pipe.
Oh yeah, so then they don't
Just
associate.
wet myself on the desk, you know. Like.
So basically, in society, like these Brennans, they don't get the good jobs. They don't associate with the untouchables, which are like the upper class.
Yeah.
So essentially, it brought these two villages together that never even speak to one another about this performance about women empowerment.
I think you have those in the wrong way, by the way.
Do I?
Yeah, you're supposed to. I've been meaning to bring it up.
So basically, I've had the headphones in the wrong way throughout.
Yeah.
So if I sound dodgy in this is why. But anyway, yeah. So this performance,
big headphone fan.
this drama performance, brought these two caste systems together to talk about women empowerment. So the drama performance brought these two people together, and I thought, wow, that's so powerful. These people don't even speak to one another, let alone acknowledge that they even exist. How powerful is that to break down the walls and the barriers in society? Show them a visual representation of a drama piece. Like, you can change someone's perception, you can change someone's ideology, you can change the world essentially. Do you know what I mean? But storytelling can change the world.
Yeah.
Music can change the world. Universal language, laughter. But making people laugh, do you know what I mean? Basically, it's story and sort of like, as I said before, like getting people to reflect on their current lives or their current situations or their sort of mind frame.
Yeah.
So basically, when I came back, I advertised myself as an actor. Never been to stage school, never been an acting class in my life. Like I just method acted and went to loads of castings, got loads of roles. I was quite lucky.
Yeah.
And then I was acting in a music video for television, and when I wasn't on screen and performing, basically, say for instance you were on you were in the shot, you were in the frame, it was your scene, I would say, oh, I'd maybe look this way and like think this emotion when you're doing this certain thing, and I weren't thinking, I was just thinking I'm being nice, but essentially I was directing.
Yeah, okay.
So basically, I got this director scene that I had this vision and sort of like that I could direct.
Yeah.
So he offered me an internship as an assistant director. The company was called Video Inc. in Manchester, and basically I learned like for like 2.5 years with this company everything: how to operate a camera, how to talk to people, how to set dress, how to do a call sheet, how to do everything creative, like how to edit, and then from that I went and branded my own company, Exclusive Entertainment, and went...
links for Exclusive will be in the description for anyone interested in checking it out. Sorry.
Yeah. So with that, so basically I create all mixed media now. I tell stories, whether it's like a product or service, someone who's got a talent. I basically highlight the best in other people. Like essentially this stemmed from like being in a music video and just like giving someone some advice.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to ask. Was the drama performance the seed?
It was most definitely. It was like an epiphany. So when I was in India, obviously I witnessed pure poverty, like pure hardship, which obviously rounds you off and makes you a better person because you realise how lucky you are. But also like the powerfulness of storytelling. Like I just took that home with me and thought, like, this is what I want to do. I want to like have an effect where you basically improve people's lives or change their mind frame in a better way.
Yeah. I think pretty darn inspiring, isn't it? You know, like, and that's the thing. You just need that moment, and something will come of it, you know, like it will just spark something. You meet the right person in one place and it can change your life forever, you know, which, I mean, it's good to have like a plan for the future, but I think the plan I had for the future when I was 16 compared to the one I had when I was 18 compared to the one I had when I was 21, it all just changes. Like, I mean, there's always been like a running trend, but I think, you know, certain things can drag you off in certain directions, and I think that's one thing to try and keep in mind if people are feeling a bit lost or something, or without any sort of inspiration to do something. Just, you know, find something, plug away at it, and then, you know, something will change. Like, I mean, it's bound to, isn't it? You know?
I really like film for that reason. It's like if the director does his...
By the way, you're supposed to put them in and like turn them in. Yeah, go on.
So like, you know, if the film, or if the film's director executes correctly and puts in all of his hard work and the actors are on point and all that stuff, the ability of the medium to transform the way people thinks is like, I don't know. I mean, other than music, I can't really think of anything that's as powerful.
See, me personally, I'm gonna throw out video games. Dude, for real, some like indie games at the moment are incredible. There's one game called That Dragon Cancer, and the developer created it because his son, who was like 3 or 4 years old, got diagnosed with cancer, and it was this art piece, this expression to showing the sort of anguish that him and his wife, I think, went through with, you know, their son slowly dying. Amazing! Oh my god! Like the way that hit me, and the way he managed to get his message across was phenomenal. Like, and that was the thing. You say video games, and again, you quite rightly get it.
It's sort of like an interactive movie in a way.
Yeah. I guess it's not that. Yeah, I guess there's the difference there. It's not like a game. You're not like trying to accomplish anything. It is very much like, yeah, you're traveling through this world, and, you know, yeah, god damn that game. Okay, they had it in VR as well, which is horrible because you're like sat there in like the doctor's office and stuff, and it is so intense. But yeah, I reckon check that out. That is phenomenal. That game. Yeah, I really don't know.
That is like very loud.
Yeah, I think they've been doing some maintenance work somewhere. I don't know. Like,
it's either that or you're having a wee under the desk.
Yeah,
multiple times.
Multiple really strong wheeze. Yeah, it's a issue I probably have to get. Sorted.
On Muzzy on You Lad. What's your idea for like you were gonna say bringing creatives together to kind of promote the message, but like what was your idea for like what did you have in mind, I guess?
So basically it's just like either using like basically you can tell a story either with a mustache or you don't have a mustache, or you can just lose the mustache totally, but as long as it's either talking about like men's health or like stigma, and as we were saying before, all these sort of like scenarios and basically the things that it brings up and what it helps, as long as you can talk about that in a certain way, whether it be through an art piece, whether it be through a podcast, whether it be through an animation, a song, you know what I mean? So if you can express it doesn't, you don't have to say the word Movember or November, or as I said, you don't need to use the mustache. It's basically just being creative to challenge the issues of today's society, but focusing on men, you know, because we get all this at the minute, like even with Hollywood and stuff and all the awards, all these women are like, oh, women empowerment and stuff like that. It's great. I absolutely totally support it, but it shouldn't just be women that are fighting for women. Men should be fighting for men to be more like open. You know what I mean? Let's challenge the way that men should be.
Well, I think one thing,
or how they're raised, you know.
Yeah, I think one thing that I am kind of getting a bit annoyed about is men as a whole, if they're not getting sort of attacked by fellow men, being told to, you know, like,
man up.
Yeah, exactly. in essence, then a lot of the time they're sort of being criticised for stuff that they didn't have anything to do with. You know, like so much of the Oscars was talking about, like, I mean, I know they had a big sort of sexual harassment scandal and all that, but, you know, there was a thing that Jimmy Kimmel said about, like, Oscar being the perfect man because he didn't have a penis and all this, and it was sort of like, now the intention of that joke is sort of saying that all men think about is shagging and manipulation, and I think that's fucking horrible. Like, you know, that's a... No, it sort of just feels at times you get attacked from multiple sides, you know? Like, yeah, and which I think... If you focus purely on something to do with men, it's not being sexist against women. It's just saying this is a men's issue. You know, like, yeah, that's a debate for another time, I think.
So feminism and some people like dislike it or whatever and say, oh well, these women shouldn't be like empowering other women, but I think it's great. Like, I absolutely love it. Like, do you know what I mean? But just let's be clear that like equality, it should be throughout. Like,
equality is equality.
Exactly, yeah. Like, all right, like, it's great to support other women, but you don't have to do it like in every situation just because, like, I don't know.
Yeah, just because
because you can, or because it's a current topic. Whereas, like, with Muzzy on You, lad, I wanted to sort of like drive that with women can be involved or whatever as well. It's just highlighting the fact that men don't talk about their emotions. Men don't communicate. Mental health is arguably more rife in men than it is women. I don't know the actual, like, figures, but
3 out of 4 suicides are men. I mean, there's debate as to whether it's because men who attempt suicide are more likely to complete it, like the methods they use are a lot harsher and stuff like that. But again,
75% is pretty strong majority.
Yeah. Well, 3/4, isn't it? Like,
so essentially, Muzzy on You, lad. Even though it's like you'd raise money for cancer and cancer research, and let's basically find a cure for cancer. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's been touched by cancer, like, in a negative way. I read this article, and apparently we all carry the cancer gene or whatever, and it either sort of like stimulates and becomes like live, if you like, and you either get cancer or you don't. Like, do you know what I mean? And we all have friends or relatives or someone that's been affected by it. So, like, it just makes sense that these pharmaceutical companies or whatever, and that are all making so much money or whatever, they just need to scrap that, and everyone just needs to focus and like, you know, just try and
say, isn't it one out of every 3 people is gonna have some form of cancer in their life, and that's terrifying. Like,
it is terrifying.
You know, that could even just be like, you know, a bit of like a skin cancer thing that they get chipped away, or that can be something, you know, dangerous. Something like that. Like, so it's obviously
it's scary.
Yeah, but you know, good causes out there gonna try and do some good work, and hopefully give it 50 to 100 years, and you know, this might be a thing of the past. It might be something that people look back on in
hopefully when someone listens to this podcast in 50 years time, we've predicted the future.
It'll be here forever.
I am just thinking of I don't know, going into a cave somewhere, or like a cellar somewhere, and writing like all the Bickering Press stuff. So like in hundreds of years, people might go into there and be like, oh my god, this is what humans were listening to 200 years ago. You know, certainly in my post-life, be regarded as a god. That's the plan for the Bickering Press, you know. So
it's just aim for as high as you can.
Well, I introduced myself last week as demigod, so you know.
Did you?
Yeah, I said I was the demigod of the Bickering Press, and you went, okay, maybe I'll do the intros next week. But no, I swooped in and kept it. You know. So
yeah, with the sort of like charity and the push for the year with creatives and stuff, it's essentially, as I said, like either exploring and showing yourself or your talent in a creative way to raise awareness and challenge the stigma. It could be men and women. As I said, like equality, like it should be equality. Why just have like a feminist sort of like thing? Like, why not have something for both sexes that like just drives for equality? And I feel like Muzzy on You, lad, will essentially do that. So like, I think when it becomes like when it goes live, like the website's there, everyone sees all this media that everyone constantly creates. Like if you don't take a picture of your food, you haven't ate it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like everyone's constantly creating. Everyone's got a smartphone, well, most people, and like everyone's becoming creative. So why not create for change? Do you know what I mean? Why not challenge like certain stigmas and whatever? So that was the core.
Yeah, I do think it's funny when people are editing photos of food, and it's like, how much time have you spent doing that? You know, like in your lifetime, how much time have you been trying to get the perfect angle of coffee that you had once? We went to a cafe the other day, didn't take our phones out once, did we?
Yeah. Which is funny you say that, because the couple that was just behind you, she actually took a full vertical with her camera. Really? Was about the same size as that one.
Yeah. Well, that was probably for either like their blog, because a lot of people do like either fashion blogs or like food blogs. Or me personally, like wherever me creative eye leads, like I would take a picture of something that either like I know will get me more work, or like it's a good way like of expressing the situation, or you know, like basically it's like a flick book. It's like memories, like, or like I post. So basically, like I've got a beer blog that I do.
Yes, yeah, that's why.
So that's craft beer, real ale, and I sort of explore the world of beer. So it's like the beer rainbow. Like I look at like red wine and the flavors that you can get, and the particular grapes from different regions, and the complexities of the wine. But it's exactly the same with beers. Like the amount of breweries that are in the world now, like making great beers. Like why go to Tesco or any other supermarket?
Yeah.
There are others available. You and buy like crap beer, like run of the mill beer that tastes the same every time, and you're not going on a journey of flavour. It's the same when you go to a restaurant. Why order the same food? All right, you might be a veggie and they might be out for a restricted menu, but
go to a vegetarian restaurant and
exactly.
You know, there's
just go and explore. Life's for exploring. Do you know what I mean? So like, why not have that sort of like essence and sort of like journey? And with craft beer real ale, essentially, like I take images and video of food and drink and highlight that in a way to get more work. So then I would go into like the Lowry Hotel and create their mixed media for like a month.
But again, that's sort of to do with the topic of beer. Yeah, it's actually a project. It's not just here I am at a cafe.
Yeah, like
you know, like
please like my picture.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like that.
It's actually.
It's got purpose.
Yeah, it's got
it has.
It's got groove. It's got meaning. Yeah. What is that song? Oh God. Oh, it's Grease Lightning. There's a thing in there. Don't worry.
He loves going off on tangents.
Went off on tangents. Yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I was going to say just checking the time. Anything else anyone wants to bring up? Finally, is there anything people want to plug?
I don't know, just to wrap up, like, I know we went off on different topics and whatever, like, the importance of, like, communication for me is key, not only in telling the story through my documentary, the fact that even, like, men, you need to talk, everyone has an escapism, like, we all have choices in life, like, you either choose whatever route you choose alcohol or you choose to party every weekend, like, I don't look the age of 30 because I don't live for the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, I would much rather go to a new city and go and explore the cathedral than go and get pissed in the same pub that everyone's going to, seeing the same faces, doing the same shit. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, there's a big world out there. Chase probably knows, like, he's come over to Liverpool with his missus, like, a totally different culture, a totally different lifestyle, embraced it. He's probably grown as a person on a daily basis. Like, maybe. But, like, he's probably finding himself. It's like the same. I've just come back from Poland. I shot a short film there. And
which
Rosie?
Yeah, Rosie it was called. Yeah,
that's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, it's for it's for a film festival called the Movember Film Festival in New York.
How would people find it?
They could just find it online. I think it's Moment Film. If the entry got accepted, I'm not 100% sure whether I got the email or not. But I had a problem with me upload. But other than that, anyway, I'm going to release it in other phone festivals. It was 100% shot on a phone. It can be any phone. This was shot on an iPhone X. It investigates the culture transition between Poland and England. in terms of this woman called Isabella, and her sort of like refuge and salvation in her dog, who arguably has been better than most humans to her, because she's confined in it when she was depressed, like her ex left her and stuff like that, and the dog was always there, and it stimulates her to go out. And people don't realize like how important pets can be, or how important simple things can be. And again, it relates to the documentary, like you do need to have like an escapism, and something that either like drives you or allows you to have a release. Whether it's tension or whatever's going on in your life, you need some sort of like outlet. And if you don't have that, I feel like you just constantly like drive yourself like insane. Do you know what I mean?
Well, or flitting about.
Yeah, you just like you won't get to where you want to be, because you're like constantly like
deviating.
Exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
And the documentary you're working on right now, when do you?
So the
when do you
documentary,
expect it to be?
It will be finished this year. It's currently being worked on by one of my friends, and like I've just shot a sequence on Saturday, which was like a flashback sequence of the younger self of my brother. So a 6-year-old child actor was playing the lead, and obviously like people would play the parents, and they had like an argument and stuff. There was reflections on like his mum being like drunk on the sofa, him going to school, making a breakfast himself, that sort of thing. So really powerful visuals in terms of reference points. So then when the discussion happens within the documentary, people can see a visual representation of like the story and that sort of like outlet. But I find that like through going like to India and having this like epiphany, like everything's sort of like correlated and it all interlinks as such. Like so like even starting my company, making the documentary, the Muzzy on You lad, they all help one another, and they've all got like the same sort of message. Do you know what I mean? It's all creative, it's all been shot on some sort of camera, there's audio involved, it's storytelling essentially through every medium. Like even when like I launched the Muzzy on You lad website, when people actually click on it, like there'll obviously be visual pictures, there'll be like videos, like it comes to life. It's not just like loads of text.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to do with Bickering Press a little bit, is open up more revenues, not revenues, like media. Yeah, more types of media, just because like obviously my first love is writing. Like that's what I want to do. It's how I've always sort of, it's how I've always got my voice across. But in sort of like the striving for more and to make it more sort of accessible, I do want to start doing more video. It's why I've done the podcast. It's sort of it opens it out for more tastes and everything.
Yeah.
And the more I'm doing them, the more I'm enjoying them. Which is something I'd never thought beforehand. I'd be nervous talking on the phone, and now I record myself for an hour at a time. It's fine.
You were nervous on the phone?
Yeah, dude.
I honestly can't believe that.
Dude, when I was young, I used to be like, when I was in my teens, I really didn't like being on the phone. I was really, I like it. If I had to call up a company, I just really struggled. I would sort of, my voice would go all weird. I think probably, yeah, dude, it was weird. You can speak to my mum about it sometimes. It was a bizarre one. Again, that was just, I guess, overly self-conscious and shy, and what if I make mistakes? But then I think, as you get older and go to job interviews and just get more comfortable in yourself, you just sort of, I wouldn't have seen myself doing this sort of stuff back then, so yeah, pleasant.
It's great, like the way that like even since meeting you at the Movember sort of meetup, like how you've sort of come on, and I can see that you're thoroughly enjoying it, but also like you've got the likes of Chase on board now, like, which is cool, and sort of like it's a nice like international sort of like questionable sort of influx, like you're gonna ask questions that like maybe we wouldn't think of, because you've got a totally different like outlook, so it's great, and it makes it fresh, like from my perspective.
Well, we've done that on quite a few of the other episodes. There always seems to be at least one sort of American British dividing sort of stance on those certain.
Those are usually the most heated debates.
Yeah, they're good laugh though. And there'll probably be more of that next week, I imagine. I think we should probably round this off. Cool. Well, yeah, I'd just like to say thank you for Chase coming back, co-host, and thanks to Mr. Edge for appearing. The Edge.
So that's Exclusive Entertainment, edgeclusive.com, and museonulad.com. The websites will be live in the future, and the website's currently live, fightingdemons.com or fightingdemons.co.uk maybe, and basically that's where the documentary there. You can see like a rundown, like a synopsis of that, and from the greatness that's stemmed from the documentary is that a club's now been established in Halewood, which is South Liverpool, and this is a boxing club that has been not there for over 10 years or 15 years, and it's been re-established through my brother John.
Yeah,
so like there's a benefit from the documentary even before it's released now, and he's given back to the community, and obviously people are using sport as a vehicle. And the legacy is continuing already even before the documentary is released.
I say, cause sounds great. Fully behind that. Can't wait to see the documentary. Everything just mentioned will be linked down in the description. Again, if you've enjoyed this, which I hope you have, feel free to follow the Bickering Press on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just Bickering Press for all three. All right. Well, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
That was a lot of fun.
See ya.
See you.